What is all this talk about charitable contributions? And how do I know if I have charitable contributions that qualify to report on my tax return? Well, that's what we're here to talk about on this segment of Tax Tip Tuesday with Tried and True Financial Services, where our core mission is helping entrepreneurs like you with the ABCs of finance to simplify your accounting, budgeting, and credit processes. So, when we talk about charitable contributions, it could be a gift of cash or property that's made to a qualified nonprofit, like a 501c3 type of organization, right? And the whole purpose of giving the contribution is to benefit others, right? It doesn't necessarily have to have you you are not going to expect to receive anything in return for that other than a deduction on your tax return. But these are things that you are giving away for the benefit of someone else. And one of the commonly overlooked charitable contribution is miles that you drive to and from any of these nonprofit type of activities. So if you're doing like a Meals on Wheel during the holiday season, or if you're doing things throughout the year that's causing you to drive your vehicle um, for the benefit of a charitable or nonprofit organization, then the miles that you drive for that purpose is also tax deductible. So you want to make sure that you're keeping track of the date, the time, the purpose of that trip, and the destination to and from, and how many miles you drove for that, because that is something that can be documented on your tax return and possibly bring your taxable income down. So, I want to talk a little bit about um, how you would record those charitable contributions. And typically, it's done on your Schedule A, which is itemized deduction. We talked about the difference between a standard deduction and itemized deduction on a previous recording. So I want to encourage you to make sure that you go ahead and you follow us over on YouTube. You can go over on YouTube and search Valise Smith and find previous recordings of where we talked about a myriad of different type of deductions that you can claim on your taxes. And one of the previous recordings, we talked about the difference between a standard deduction and itemized deduction. Well, your charitable contributions fall under the itemized deductions. So if you're not going to take the standard deduction, which for 2021, the standard deduction was 12,550 for single and married filing separate individuals, double that amount for a married filing joint, and then $18,800 for head of household. So if your itemized deductions will exceed those amounts for your particular filing status, then it's more advantageous to take the itemized deductions as opposed to the standard deduction. And your itemized deductions all go on Schedule A. Charitable contributions are part of the number that makes up your itemized deduction. So you're literally listing them out, itemizing. So mortgage interest, real estate taxes, charitable medical expenses, and charitable contributions is a big one. One of the things I would like to caution you on, though, is that if you have non-cash items or like household items, clothes that you clean out your closet each year and you want to get rid of some things and you're going to take it over to the Salvation Army or a nonprofit organization like that. If you have donations that have a thrift store value of a combination of more than $500, then there is an additional form that would need to be filled out where you're going to have to drill down on those itemized deductions and know exactly what those items are and how you valued them and what the value of them were. So if you have like $1,000 or $1,500 that you give away in household goods, or you've given away a couch or a washer and a dryer in addition to some clothes and things of that nature, and those amounts tend to add up to more than $500, you will need a separate form that you'll have to fill out to attach to your tax return, and that is going to be in the form of 8283, which is non-cash charitable contributions. And you don't need to remember the form number. I just wanted to throw it out there for your reference, but do know, I just want you to be informed in advance that if you have a larger amount of charitable, non-cash charitable contributions, that you want to be prepared to give your tax professional that information so that they can complete a detailed and accurate tax return for you. I also want to let you know there are some people that give a tremendous amount of their income. And so there is a provision in the tax code that says that cash contributions are limited to 60% of your income, your adjusted gross income. So you cannot report more than 60%, or you can't write off more than 60% of your adjusted gross income for cash contributions. And then for property or non-cash contributions, it can't be no more than 50%. So in some cases, it's only 30%. In some cases, it's only 20%. It really just depends on the type of property that you're given and the organization that you're giving it to. So again, I cannot stress enough that keeping copious notes is very important when it comes to filing your taxes and writing off your deductions. You want to make sure that you have a good track record. Um, but the good news is that if you cannot deduct all of your charitable contributions in the year that you're reporting, there is a carry forward provision. So you can carry forward those donation amounts for up to 5 years. Yeah. So if, for instance, your cash contributions ended up being 70% of your income. Well, I mentioned earlier, you can only deduct up to 60% of them. So that additional 10%, then you can carry over to the new year. Don't hold them back. You want to report it all on the current tax year, and then it'll carry forward to the upcoming tax year. I also wanted to point out and just share with you guys, if you were aware, but the tax code made some revisions last year for 2021 because of the pandemic. And one of the things that happened is they allowed for taxpayers to write off up to $3,000, not 3,000, $300 per adult on that tax return for cash contributions, even if you were not itemizing. So ordinarily, like I mentioned, your charitable contributions in combination with a lot of other deductions that you may have would need to exceed the standard deduction amount. Well, last year in 2021, they had a special provision in the tax code that said, well, each person can deduct up to $300. Each adult can deduct up to $300 on their tax code in addition to their standard deduction. So instead of your standard deduction being 12,550, it was 12,850. That provision was for 2021 only. So that will not carry forward, or we have not received word that it's carrying forward for 2022. So for this tax year that we're in now, when you file your taxes in February or March or April, just know that the charitable contribution is reverting back to the Schedule A itemized deductions. Okay. Also, gifts of, even if it's a charitable act, gifts given to an individual, if they could be an act of charity on your behalf, but if they are not a qualified nonprofit organization, even if it's an act of charity, those types of contributions or donations that you've made to individuals is not deductible on your tax return. Okay, so I don't want you to have any misinformation or have any misconceptions concerning that. Just want to be, provide full transparency here so that you're armed with the information so that you know what you can and what you cannot do, what your limitations are, and what your benefits are in this case. The key to all of this is just making sure you keep really, really good records. I recommend that you have a centralized location of where you're putting these records at so that when it's time to get your taxes done, you can go to that file and pull it all out, whether it's a file folder, whether it's an accordion type of filing system, whether it's a box, whatever it is. Just know, don't take that box with you to your tax professional and try to hand it over to them. It's going to be up to you to kind of assemble this information and make sure that you give them a summary of the details of what happened in your situation. And I want to make sure that you know that you have until December 31st of this year to make those charitable contributions. So if you haven't made any charitable contributions, as this is giving season, we're in the month of November. This week is Thanksgiving. And so just know that this is a good time to give some donations to some nonprofit organizations for people that are less fortunate that could use it. And so you have until December 31st to make those charitable contributions for 2022 so that they can be carried on to your tax return for this year. Make sure that you finish this year strong. Make sure that you give your charitable donations equivalent to your level of income, your adjusted gross income, and make sure that you reach out to Tried and True Financial Services for all of your tax planning needs. So make sure that you go ahead and you schedule your free consultation up on our website at www.triedandtruefs.com. There's a link there for services. And once you click on services, you can get right over to consultation if you have some specific questions that you want to ask or discuss regarding this topic or any other topics that we've put up on our YouTube channel. So be sure to head over to our YouTube channel, follow, like, subscribe, comment, and make sure that you letting us know if you have any questions or concerns regarding this broadcast. We will definitely be sure that we check back in the comment sections, or you can send us a DM, or you can go ahead and schedule that free consultation at www.triedandtruefinancialservices. It is our pleasure to serve you, to make sure that you are well informed about the deductions that you are entitled to as a law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. And so it is our pleasure to bring this information to you. And remember, Tried and True Financial Services is established to help entrepreneurs with the ABCs of finance to simplify your accounting, budgeting, and credit processes. Thank you, and we'll see you on next week's broadcast. Have a good day.